The rain was relentless that night in October 2024, pounding the roof of my cabin on Hawk's Nest Ridge, deep in the Tennessee hills. The air smelled of wet cedar and earth, a scent that usually calmed me, but not today. My great-uncle Amos built this place decades ago, a sanctuary of silence carved from the wilderness. That peace was shattered when two sleek black SUVs rolled up to my gravel driveway just after noon. They parked at the edge of the county road, their polished chrome gleaming like they belonged in a city, not out here where the trees outnumber the people. I watched from the porch, my boots crunching damp leaves, as four men climbed out. Two wore suits that screamed money-tailored, crisp, and out of place in the mud. The other two were muscle, dressed in black tactical gear, their eyes scanning like hawks. I didn't wave. I just leaned against a post Amos set in the ground 70 years ago and stared, letting them feel my presence. They were here for trouble. I'd been dodging letters from the new HOA, Crestview Pines Homeowners Association, for months. The president, Margaret Voss, had a knack for petty complaints. Me fence was unsightly, my barn's red paint unapproved. I burned those letters in my wood stove. But 2 weeks ago, a survey crew showed up uninvited, planting neon orange flags that carved my land in two, claiming half my driveway for community access. That's when I knew this wasn't about aesthetics. I pulled my phone out and called my cousin Lila, who works at the county recorder's office. "Hey, Will," she answered, her voice a lifeline. I kept my tone low. 4 guys at my gate. 2 suits, 2 goons. They're eyeing my barn like it's for sale. She typed fast. "New filing this morning," she said. "A revised survey map for your land, submitted by Crestview Resources, LLC. It matches those orange flags. They're trying to steal your front half." I gritted my teeth. "Crestview Resources? Never heard of them." "Shell Company," Lila replied. "Registered last month to a PO? Box in Knoxville. Guess who's behind the HOA notices?" "Let me guess," I said. "Margaret Voss." "Bingo," Lila confirmed. "She's using the HOA to pry your land away." The men left after a quick look, but I knew they'd be back. Margaret had already tried to tour my cabin with a realtor, demanding I unlock my gate. I didn't. Instead, I welded a steel sign to it. "Private property, not for sale." I snapped a photo, time-stamped, and sent it to Lila. That afternoon, I walked my true property line, the one Amos marked with a gnarled walnut tree, a limestone slab, and an iron stake he drove in 1955. I left the orange flags in place, bait for my trap. From my pack, I pulled a spool of tripwire, thin as a whisper, and rigged it to a small alarm hidden in the brush. If they crossed that line, I'd hear it. Lila texted back. The SUVs belonged to Crestview Resources, the goons were ex-cops with sketchy records, and the suits were out-of-state investors. "They're playing hardball," Will, she wrote. I replied, "So am I." As dusk fell, the forest hushed, but the calm felt like a held breath. My wife, Nora, was in the basement, turning Amos's old workshop into a war room. She's not one to panic, the type who plans. While I set traps outside, she ran cables, set up 3 monitors, a laptop, and a tangle of wires. "Comms hub's live," she said, her fingers flying across the keyboard, her auburn hair tied back. One screen showed feeds from cameras I'd installed. The gate, the porch, the driveway, and a wide shot of the yard. The gate camera zoomed in on my sign, date and time stamped. "All hardwired, recording locally," Nora said. "Power over Ethernet switch has a 30-minute backup. Sirens and strobes run on a 12-volt battery for 10 minutes if the grid fails." Nearby, a heavy-duty drone sat charging, its spotlight custom-built by Nora to turn night into day. She'd programmed it to hover over the gate. On the main monitor, she overlaid Amos's property map in blue against Margaret's fraudulent one in red. The red cut deep into our land. "That's their battleground," I said, pointing. "That's where they'll strike." Lila messaged again, digging deeper. Margaret wasn't just an HOA tyrant. She'd been a land acquisition specialist for a mining conglomerate in Colorado before buying her house here 6 months ago for cash. This wasn't about a community park, it was about lithium deposits under the ridge. Amos always said this land held secrets in its bones. My cabin sat on the richest vein. Without it, their mine was dead in the water. We worked late, layering our defenses. First, the legal shield. Nora set up a live stream, ready to broadcast with a title card illegal eviction attempt in progress and a link to county records showing the conflicting maps. Second, the physical barrier. My gate, heavy iron, secured with a logging chain and a padlock I could cinch remotely. Third, psychological warfare. The drone's spotlight, sirens, strobes, and a speaker wired to a basement mic. As night fell, we ate sandwiches in the basement, eyes glued to the monitors. Every shadow felt alive. What if they have a warrant? Nora asked. They don't, I said. Lila's watching the courthouse. Nothing's been filed. We waited, tension thick as the storm rolling in. At midnight, headlights pierced the darkness. The SUVs were back, joined by a sedan with the Realtor from last week. They killed their lights and moved toward the gate. Showtime, Nora whispered. The men pushed the gate, the chain caught. One goon pulled bolt cutters, but a suit stopped him, pointing at an orange flag. He stepped over my tripwire, and the alarm chirped. Now, I said, slamming a switch. The gate's maglock clamped shut with a thud, and I yanked the cable to lock the chain. Nora clicked her mouse, and the drone's spotlight blazed, pinning the men in a circle of white light. The live stream went live. My voice boomed through the speaker. You're trespassing. This is being recorded and broadcast. They froze, blinded, caught. The taller suit shouted, Turn that light off. His partner fumbled with his phone, useless without cell signal. Nora captioned the stream, naming the players based on Lila's intel. Viewership climbed as Lila shared the link on local forums. The bigger goon growled at the porch camera. You're breaking the law. We have rights here. I replied. The only mistake was you stepping on my land. Leave. Thunder rumbled, and rain became a torrent. Lightning knocked out the power, killing our monitors. The live stream died, but our local recorder kept rolling. Nora lit a lantern, her laptop flickering on battery. Drone's got 20 minutes, she said. It'll return to base soon. Outside, a metallic clink rang out, bolt cutters snapping my chain. The gate swung open. Phase 2, I said, flipping a switch in Amos's old bear deterrent system. Sirens screamed, and strobes flashed, turning the yard into a disorienting hellscape. The men staggered, hands over ears. One goon shot out a siren, another smashed a strobe. They pushed forward, hooking a tow chain to the gate. Their F-350 roared, tearing at the iron. I ran outside to Amos's diesel generator, hidden under a tarp. I hit the starter, and it roared to life, shaking the ground. Back inside, I flipped the breaker, and floodlights blazed, illuminating the yard like a stadium. The men froze as I engaged the logging winch, its cable anchoring the gate. The F-350's tires spun, but my winch held firm, a 50-year-old beast against their modern machine. The gate groaned, but stood. Then, a new figure emerged, Margaret Voss, in a lavender raincoat, umbrella repentant. Her umbrella was no match for the storm. She strode to the porch camera, her voice sharp. Mr. Harper, this is over. Your toys are cute, but pointless. I have the paperwork. This land is ours. I leaned into the mic. Get off my property, Margaret. She smirked, holding up her phone. The survey's filed. This ridge is Crestviews. I shot back. Filed, not accepted. The recorder flagged it. Her mask cracked. You're a squatter on our land. Take $5,000 and leave, or we'll drag you out. Her goon's hand hovered near his gun. I stayed calm. Meet me at your truck. I've got a document to show you. She followed, curious, her team trailing. I stepped into the rain with an ammo can, placing it on the SUV's hood with a clang. Inside was Amos's 1955 plat map, hand-drawn, showing the true boundary marked by the walnut tree and limestone slab. I laid an orange flag on it. Your survey's a fraud, Margaret. My cousin Lila scanned it, and your fake map. She's been on the phone with the sheriff. A new sound rose, a grinding roar of vehicles climbing the ridge. Headlights approached, but a deafening crash echoed. A massive oak, weakened by years and storm, had fallen, blocking the road. No way forward, no way back, I said. Margaret's face paled. Her last goon reached for his pistol. Don't, I warned. The deputies climbing up don't like guns pulled on the guy who called them. The investors raised their hands, babbling excuses. We were misled. The second goon flipped, claiming he was just following orders. Deputy Carson, An old friend of Amos's arrived, assessing the scene. 2 shots fired at my siren, I said. Casings by the gate. All on camera. Carson cuffed Margaret for fraud, trespassing, and conspiracy. Her empire crumbled in the mud. By dawn, the storm cleared. Nora and I stood on the porch, coffee in hand, surveying the wrecked yard. Lila called. It's over, Will. Margaret talked. Her investors gave the DA everything. The surveys void, her accounts seized. Neighbors rallied, offering to clear the tree and fix the gate, now seeing the mine that would have poisoned our ridge. The land was ours again, Amos's legacy intact. I kept the sign up, private property, not for sale. This fight wasn't just mine, it was for the ridge, for the quiet Amos loved. But what if the law had been slower? Could Margaret have won with better lawyers? Should I have cut that tree sooner, or was it too risky? What would you have done to protect your home? Drop your thoughts below, hit like, and subscribe for more stories of standing your ground.